Wheels up, everyone. Welcome back to Come On You Reds, the definitive Toronto FC podcast. We're up and running for the 2022 campaign. One match in the books, another one to look forward to this upcoming weekend as Toronto FC makes their home debut for this new season. Gareth Wheeler and TFC legend Terry Dunfield with you for another week. What's up going on, Tel? How are you?
I don't know about legend, but excited to be here. Just got back from Florida. We had a couple academy games against Inter Miami and Orlando Soccer Club. And
how'd you do? Because the academy, it's a big talking point. We're going to get into it on this podcast.
I was hoping we'd go there. We did well. We beat an Inter Miami team they'd won the last 14 games. They played 9 since the turn of the year. We'd only played a game and a half, a friendly up here, and beat them 3-2. The guys dug really deep, and then against Orlando the next day, gave up a couple of crappy goals, but showed some big heart in the heat, playing back-to-back games to get back to 2-1, and just struggled to. We chased too hard, Wheels. We needed to use our head a little bit more late on, and we did. That one chance just didn't present itself.
Any Beckhams or Nevilles playing down for Inter Miami?
No Beckhams, no Nevilles. But one of the highlights of the trip, it was such a great trip, so much value, so many learnings out of it, was watching the first team play. And at the start of the trip, we see Kosi Thompson sign a first team contract. And then DeAndre Kurd, Shaquille, Schaffelberg, Nelson are all starting on Saturday night.
It's pretty incredible. 4 homegrown players featuring in that first Toronto FC 11 of 2022. Let's get straight to it, Terry. The game finishes in a 1-1 draw at FC Dallas. Is this a great result for you? Is this a good result or a disappointing result on the opening weekend of MLS's back?
I thought it was a penalty on Pozuelo, and I think that's a defining moment in the game. And if we get a penalty, we probably nick a 2-1 and we get the result we deserved. I thought big picture, the performance was excellent. The young guys were outstanding, in particular, Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy. The boys weren't just making up numbers. They really were at it and brought a ton of value to the 11. But big picture, really good, really positive first game. And I thought the adjustment at halftime from Bob Bradley to go to a midfield 4 and 2 up top just kind of shifted the game into our balance a little bit. And you're starting to see the identity come out that Bob's looking for. It's going to be an exciting brand of soccer.
Well, no kidding. There was a noticeable difference in the way the team played and the output for a number of different players. But there were 2 definitive moments in the match. The Pozuelo indecision or penalty decision that ended up going the other way, as well as this that played out in the 9th minute.
Ariola's ball across the box into the back post. Dallas have the opening goal. The flag will deny them. It was put in there by O'Brien, but that flag on the far side means it remains 0-0.
It ended up being given an FC Dallas goal. You saw the assistant referee put his flag up. VAR played a distinct role in this opening game of the season. Terry, did the officials get it right? From my perspective, it's a little bit harsh on Toronto FC. Nothing clear or obvious about that. I think I put it out on the weekend. The only thing that's clear and obvious is that the whole idea of clear and obvious is anything but clear and obvious. What do you make of that first goal that was given for FC Dallas?
Let's not forget it's game 1 for the officials, and it's
yes.
3 or 4 minutes into the game, and you want to make a call, and you're pretty quick to put that flag up. And unless it's clear, from what I can understand, assistant referees are told to not make a decision, and it's difficult to tell. And the assistant referee makes a decision. Areola is flagged offside. And looking at multiple replays, it wasn't definitive either way. So I think that the call on the pitch should have stood. And now TFC are down 1-0, away from home, 4 young kids out on the pitch. You've got an absolute mountain to climb, that shouldn't have been the case.
Yeah, it's a tough one for me for that reason. If if it's not clear and obvious based upon the video evidence, then I don't think you should or can overturn the call in the field. We've looked at a lot of different angles of that goal or the potential offside on Paul Arriola. To be honest, Terry, I can't tell. It's too close to call, but that doesn't make it enough to overturn the decision. And if the referees, I'll say this, if VAR has a better angle, a different angle to show the public who's watching on their televisions or streaming wherever, then please show that. Like, I feel like the game of rugby has evolved in the way that they use video review, where you hear the referee in constant communication with the video assistant referee. They're walking through, you're getting a rationale behind this decision that's being made. And I think you can take away much more angst and allow a level of understanding if you make that conversation public, allow people to hear it. So I think because there's that gray area in the call and the way that it's kind of adjudicated, that it just makes for a difficult decision where a lot of TFC fans this week will be saying, well, you screwed us, right? Like, that's the sentiment, right or wrong, or being somewhere in the middle on this one.
I think you make a good point. I think that'll be the next evolution. I'm not sure that we're quite there yet. But I think that, that would help. And I think we just want to know the why, and some of a little bit more information on the process would be nice.
You thought that in the second half, it seemed like TFC at 1-1 were given a penalty. Pozuelo goes down in the box, a really nice little slip pass by Michael Bradley. I think that the two connected really well over the course of 90 plus minutes. Pozuelo went down again, another call that went to VAR, and that penalty call was overturned as well. Did the referee get it right in that moment as well, Terry?
Again, it's a difficult one to overturn for me. I'm not sure on your thoughts, but I think it's quick feet from Pozuelo, like you said, it's a reverse ball from Bradley. And I think because the defender just gets a little nick on the ball, that negates the contact. But there's definitely contact. But is that clear and obvious? Probably not, in my opinion.
It was a sloppy challenge by Martinez, wasn't it? And oftentimes you see, penalties, cards, cautions, reds given, even when a player does make contact with the ball. It's kind of the way that the tackle is executed. I'm not sure what else Pozuelo was supposed to do. Again, in the moment, if that penalty is not given, then so be it. But I think what bothers a lot of people is that, was there enough shown based upon the video evidence available to take away the penalty from Paz? And for me, that answer is definitively no. There's not enough. Like, again, if VAR, and we understand officials make decisions, that's fine, but it was too close to call. And for me, in those moments, you need to stick with the call that was originally made on the field.
Agreed. I think in both the moments, just stay away from it. And for it to happen twice is difficult. I don't think Pozuelo was going over it. I think he drew the contact. I thought it was clever. And at that moment in the game, man, TFC came on strong in the second half. It was all TFC. And I really, as we touched on, thought Bob Bradley's tactical change made a big difference. And it was all TFC in the second half.
I'm not, this isn't a slugfest, a beatdown of MLS officials, because honestly, MLS's application of VAR, I think, is being like best in class in terms of what we see in world football and the way that VAR is being used. But those were just two tough calls that I just think that they were a little bit anxious in overturning a call, or a little bit too quick to do so when the original call in the field should have stood.
I think you just nailed it there, man. When you're saying it's a tough call, just leave it alone. And yes. And I think that's got to be the benchmark to say, you know what, we'll just stay away from this one. It really isn't clear and obvious.
Now that the negatives out of the way, let's deal with the number of positives heading into this game. A number of new players coming into this team, Terry. Three brand new players to the squad were in the starting 11. We mentioned 4 homegrown players when it comes to TFC. Wow. In their starting 11 for this game, there were some nervous moments in the early stages as they tried to find their legs. It's a new season, new identity, new coach, new players. But once they built some confidence, once they gained some momentum, beyond the first 25, 30 minutes, I thought they kicked it into another gear and they were the better team on the night. What are your overall thoughts about how this team grew into the game and what you saw in terms of your first impressions from this Toronto FC team?
I agree. I thought early on, maybe could have looked after the ball a little bit better. We were very open. We committed a lot of bodies forward. Jaquil was really high. Schaffelberg was high. And it left Michael on a little bit of an island. And you've got 2 center backs at times that are a little bit wide. So we were open in transition if we turned the ball over. And I think that suited Dallas's strengths, but Bob Bradley sorted that out. The team was more connected in the second half. And I thought that brought Pozuelo into the game a little bit as well. I thought Osorio was excellent. He was a proper vet out there, took his goal extremely well. And then I think from the young players, it's as good as I've seen Jayden Nelson play. There was an aggressiveness to him. He took the game by the scruff of the neck at times and really attacked that byline. Didn't quite happen for DeAndre Kerr. Achara gave us maybe a little bit more. I thought that was a good substitution. There's still more to come from DeAndre Kerr for sure. I thought Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy was outstanding. I think this is the first time we've seen it in a first-team shirt where he's really lived up to the hype, which led to Team of the Week, a $20 million valuation in the media this week. And I thought it was a performance that he can build on. It's not like he stuck the ball in the top corner with a bicycle kick 3 times. I thought his actions were repeatable, and his learnings, and maybe being caught on it once or twice will be important for his growth. And I think he'll be better for that experience for sure.
A lot to get into there. Let's start with the goal that was scored in the 45th minute. Good time. It's always a great time to score a goal right before halftime. Go into the room, the context changes, a much more easier team talk for the manager as well. I really like the way the goal was manufactured. It started on the right-hand side. Jaquil was a little bit inverted coming forward from the right back position. Inside, it touched the foot of the central midfield players. Pozuelo switch out wide left. Better service. And we saw this over the course of the end of last season from Schaffelberg on the left, Jimenez with a little cheeky touch to the far post. And nothing was easy about that finish by Osorio on the far post, but he made it look that way. It was just a great team goal, Terry, and they couldn't have got the timing better.
Agreed. And what about the mindset and the aggressiveness at the end of the first half? You're away from home. It's been difficult. That we're going to still go we're still going to go toe to toe. We're going to duke it out and go and chase that goal. And I said to our academy director, he's doing a fantastic job, and he's a big part of so many young players coming through, Anthony Capitoso, that completely changes your halftime. And if you look at the goal closely, there's 6 bodies in the box. The play across the field to get the ball to Schaffelberg was good. The ball speed was high. And one of the differences under Bob Bradley to say Greg Vanny or Javier Perez is use as much width as needed. And Schaffelberg wasn't out on the touch line, which allowed him to save some time and get that ball into the box early. It was a nice near post run, as you described, from Jimenez. Just gets enough on it to help it to Osorio. But I thought the real detail in the goal was just the desire for Osorio to get on the end of it, the timing of the run, and then the detail of the technique of the finish. He made a tricky finish, as you say, look pretty easy, but he runs past 2 players to get there. In a moment where we were up against it, arguably one of the club's best ever players steps up.
I love goals that come from a little bit of a deep line run by a central midfield player. I love it. And guess what? That's not going to be Pozuelo this season because he likes to find the half spaces. He likes to get in between the lines. So that will be a place where TFC will need Osorio to get forward. 4 goals last season, not a big number, but it was joint best on the team and good way to kick off the season. It was made
when Luke Wildman said that joint top goal scorer, Jonathan,
like, ooh,
on 4. You're just like, oh yeah, that's why it was a tough year.
Yeah. By the way, I'm feeling older every day for a number of different reasons. But when you hear Osorio 10th season with Toronto FC, scored in every season, like you were the player that came off the field on his first appearance with TFC, Terry. How old does that make you feel?
Bringing that up, man.
That's what I think about all the time.
I turned 40 last weekend. It's crazy.
Did you? I totally.
Yeah.
How come I didn't get a reminder? Now I owe you a good gift. Wow. My sister turns 40 today. So that's what reminds me.
A big one. I remember when my dad.
Happy belated, man. Oh.
I remember when my dad turned 40. I was like, man, my dad's old now.
Yeah. And you?
Yeah.
Still young, still at it.
Feeling lucky. We went for Afton. My wife, she's pregnant. We're 2 months away from having a son, which is amazing. My mom came into town, and we went for a walk through Don Valley, and just felt really lucky to kind of be where I'm at.
We haven't chatted. So last Monday was family day. I was off curling in my Monday afternoon curling league.
That's right.
And Terry Dunfield and his wife Afton run into my wife and my baby and my dog on family day, where it made me look like a degenerate because I wasn't with my actual family. But you were walking Reese Bulldog and the baby.
That's right. I even I pushed the buggy across the busy highway and quickly beat the traffic. And I was like, I don't want to be doing that all the time.
Well, get used to it, buddy. That's just a warm up. So that's just the preseason friendly.
We were like, where's Wheeler? And Brendan's like, he's curling. It was tough to stand up for you, man.
They were undefeated. I'm curling the best I ever had in my whole entire life. We'll save that for another podcast. I'm not sure what that'll be. Get your rocks off with Wheeler or something like that. It sounds too dirty. It sounds too promiscuous. We want to introduce a new segment, and it will allow us to look big picture, then focus in on some things from a micro level. We're calling it Terry's Top 3 Toronto FC Talking Points. I love my alliterations. We can't fit in any more T's there. So your top 3 talking points coming out of game number 1 of the season, Terry. Go ahead. What's the first thing that stood out for you?
I think we've already touched on the first one. So the kids and
we can dig into that a little bit deeper. Like there had to be some pride here from the academy, being an academy coach, seeing these players come through, and really players who are blossoming before our eyes.
Yeah, I think the floodgates just opened on Saturday, and a big shout out to Bob Bradley and his staff for trusting in the kids, and he played them all the way through preseason. The guys were in a good spot to succeed, and the senior pros definitely helped them through it. But I thought that they were good, and where you can rely on them next week against the Red Bulls potentially. So that'd be number 1. Number 2, I thought Jimenez, he flew under the radar a little bit.
Agreed.
But I'm excited to see more. He sparked me a little bit, and I think he's going to be a real important pickup for us. And number 3 is Jonathan Osorio. Again, I thought he was outstanding, carried on his form he's had with Canada. And I think he's kind of shifted his mindset. I listened to his interview after the game, away from maybe chasing Europe, and just really buying into the role of being a club legend here and helping carry this club back to the top of the league where it belongs.
Well put. On the kids, just a couple things that I noticed, and I don't know if you agree or disagree. Jaquil's really grown into his body. Like last year, it's difficult for young players coming into this league because it's athletic, it's physical, but it's like he's gone through this growth spurt where he looks like he fits in right now. And that can make a huge difference, Terry.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think kind of playing at right back as well. The game's in front of him a fair bit, and he's not necessarily having to use his pace to make those hard runs in behind and break that back line. And I think those are the types of actions Bob's looking for from his front line. So I never would have thought it. I think Bob's found a role for him at right back that kind of fits where he's at with his development. And I think for him now that's a game to build on, but the next 10 games are going to be even harder. He's not really an unknown anymore. And I think that the next 10 games are going to set him up for his career. And it's important he's dialed in on the field, off the field, has the right people around him. But he looks the real deal, and he's such a cool story. He's got 15 brothers and a sister that was just born.
I knew that there was a considerable number. I didn't know if there was that many a part of the Marshall Ruddy group. So, wow. Look, just there's so much to like. I just want to throw out some caution because it's a new position for him and Jacob Schaffelberg. Like, I really loved how they got forward. I think it clearly shows the way that this team's going to play under Bob Bradley. But there's going to be mistakes, right? It's not always going to be a masterpiece out there. And as long as, the expectation around him isn't that he's going to be a 9 out of 10 every week, I think it'll set him up for some real success for this season. So, the player needs to keep his feet on the ground, but I think that the expectation around him needs to be settled in an appropriate place as well.
Yeah, that second sitter helped, holding midfielder, which allowed him to get forward and whether it was Oso or Michael fanning out when they're not on their own. I thought that kind of gave him a nice springboard to get forward. And I guess my feedback to him would be, at the right moment, still take some risk. But if you make a mistake, don't compound it by chasing it. Just kind of let it go. But I think he'll get a run of games. And for Schaffelberg, I think he's still got to be him in the position. I think he's a little bit more like Richie Larea. But there are some non-negotiables, and just switches off, gets caught on that first goal. And that defensive side, it'll come with just more reps.
Salcedo is absolute class at center back. There was a moment in the 55th minute where just FC Dallas looked like they had found some space on a counterattack, an area where TFC will need to figure out a little bit more just how to be not drawn out so much and left exposed on the counter. But Salcedo slipped across, like his positioning was just, he couldn't have got it, got it more right. I think that provides a foundation. And I know Mavinga was taken off at halftime. We all know what Chris Mavinga is about in this city, but with this team playing this way, there just needs to be a little bit more positional awareness. It just doesn't always have to be expansive in that position. It just needs to be tidy. It just needs to be well organized, and it needs to be reliable. And if it is, then this back line is going to be okay.
It's exactly what we saw in the second half. And I thought the group was connected, and the decision-making, when to counter press and when to buy time and absorb an attack, the guys got right. I thought O'Neill came in and was outstanding. And I think Mavinga's got competition for his place, and that's really healthy. And just going back to Salcedo, this guy's got it all. He's got a wonderful passing range. He's deceptively quick. He's a leader. It seems following him on social media, I feel like he's got some presence in that changing room. He's a good team spirit guy. Huge pickup, and it's not easy for the league to accept a DP center back. And I think first impressions are like, we got a player here.
A couple more things before we move on, Terry. Pozuelo's positioning was a big talking point on the broadcast, both in studio as well as the broadcast call. What did you make of the way that Pozuelo played? Obviously, it's a different position this time around. What do you make of that position and his overall performance?
Yeah, I think what's cool, and we experience it on One Soccer, is often prior to a game, Stephen and Luke or yourself and I, we get some time with the managers, and they share their game plan, and it's all confidential, but it helps us paint the picture and help tell the story of the game and what the managers are looking to bring out in the game. And my feel would be that Bob maybe spoke to Steve and Luke, and I was looking for a little bit more positional play from Pozuelo, a little bit less of chasing the ball, and just kind of pulling away from the game at times, and trusting that his teammates will get him the ball in good areas. And if he gets the ball with a little bit of time and space in good areas, he's going to hurt teams. And I thought we saw his influence grow in the second half, and he got into some really good spots. I think he really likes that number 10 role as well. And I think that'll be something Bob experiments with.
Yeah, it might not be a perfect match, him playing that position. But what I do like about it, Terry, it puts him in the middle of the field where he can pull the strings and where he can be the most dangerous. Like, I think that he has it in this way that Bob Bradley wants to have the team playing. I think that that's the position he has to play. And I think he can really do a job. I think that it puts a little bit more onus on Bradley, Osorio, Kello, Prizo, whoever it is playing around the midfield. But as long as he has appropriate cover, man, he can be a real weapon from that position. So I still think it's a work in progress. But honestly, I think you're right. He got better as the game went on, more influential. And I started to say to myself, man, how much did this group miss that Pozuelo in 2021? Like, the 2020 pause was just so good. And I thought we started to see glimpses of the old pause in that game, which will be a huge boost going forward if he can, continue to take his game back to that level that he once was at.
Yeah, I saw him start to just believe in himself a little bit, believe in what Bob's looking for is his fitness. I think he looks sharp. And I'd say he's human. He's normal. I think his confidence will have taken a hit last year, and he'll be thinking about his game this off season. And I think as he started to connect passes and start to pull the strings as the game went on, he just grew in confidence. And I thought he was a little bit more economical too, so that when he did receive the ball in good areas, he was a little bit more fresh. And there's definitely more to come for sure, but what a great start. So many positives on the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we could do this all episode. Nelson was great. I thought Kello started to use. That's what I've been looking for. Like, he was using that frame. Like, that was the thing. Like, don't play smaller than you actually are. Play up to your size. And when he got those legs going, I mean, he could be a real force in the midfield as well. So I don't know. I came out of the weekend feeling really positive, and a lot of that has to do with the way that Bob Bradley has his team set up. Don't they just look a fresher side, a more dynamic, less predictable team to play against? I think fitness goes to a whole other level. Like, we're not entering the season with like half the squad injured or carrying injuries, right? Like, the team looks fresh, they look fit, and they look like they're full of ideas out there.
Yeah, they enjoyed themselves. Look, it's game one. I think we'll have a better idea after 10 games, but it's there was definitely a freshness. There was an eagerness to play forward. I think the guys are enjoying the new game model. There's a lot of practices just built around the game and just working on Bob's philosophy, nuances within the game. And if you like soccer, if you like playing 11-a-sides and big number games, and testing yourself to play forward and get that ball back quick, then Toronto FC's where you want to be.
Yep. Just looking, I mean, there's going to be bigger tests for this group going forward. It's always the biggest challenge for young players to find consistency. It's not going out having that one good game or two good. It's putting a string of them together. So there will be some bumps along the road. Obviously, this team, once Insigne comes in July, the expectation is that everything will kind of be more established. There'll be some consistency in the group. And let's be honest here. Some of these young players right now they're auditioning. They're playing for roles in this team, not just in terms of internal competition, Terry, but also saying to Bradley, to Manning, to the brain trust involved at TFC, say, no, you don't need to go out and buy or bring in another player, trade for someone, that we have it covered. So I think there's going to be a lot of discovery here in these first 2 or 3 months of the season.
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point that our kids might not have realized, but this was huge for the league. This was huge for academies in MLS and homegrown players. It was almost like a checklist that, we're on the right path developing our own here. And you've seen this offseason, a number of players go over to Europe for 10, 9, $11.5 million, Pepe $20 million. So that there's a real pipeline, a conveyor belt of talent coming through. And our guys showed on Saturday that they can really make a difference with our first team.
So I think going back to my very first question on the podcast, a good point, a good start. That's what you want to take away with you.
Yeah, I'd say halfway through the first half, you're like, yeah, I'd take a point in a second.
Yeah.
But halfway through that second half, you're like, it was there for us. We were growing into that game, and I thought the guys that came off the bench, our finishers, added and added more to the group, added more energy, and we were still going strong.
Alex Bono did well as well. Give a shout out to him. Congratulations goes out to Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy. He is in the MLS Team of the Week for week number 1. My only quibble has nothing to do with Jaquil. It's just with MLS. Can we actually put together a real formation? Like, he was playing on the right side of a 3. I forget who the left back was. He was like a pure wing back. It's like when you put up these Team of the Week, candidates or teams, put together an actual formation, please. And thank you. You can't just it's not an all-star team every week where it's just trying to, fit all the top players on the pitch. So that's my only quibble.
Gotcha.
Got my back.
Yeah, no, I saw that too. That was my same thought as well.
TFC, this is the best thing about 2022. Games at home in front of actual big crowds at BMO Field. Fingers crossed everything continues to move in the right direction, but no attendance restrictions, no vaccine passports at BMO Field this weekend. Get on out and support your Reds. 2 p.m. on Saturday as the New York Red Bulls roll into BMO Field to take on TFC. I'm excited for this one, Terry. The weatherman, we know they can be wrong, are calling for it to be about 1 or 2 degrees, much warmer than we were in Edmonton for Canada or Hamilton in January. These are decent enough conditions for the beginning of March, as long as Mother Nature can cooperate with us for once this winter. How excited are you for this game, and what kind of challenges do the Red Bulls, who are coming off a 3-1 win at San Jose over the weekend, what kind of challenges do they present to TFC?
I'm just excited to see more soccer in Canada and go to a game. And it'll be interesting to see whether TFC, I think there's definitely Bill Manning's done a great job this offseason of just sparking our fan base, and some of the casual fans. Our diehards will always be with us. But a little bit of momentum was lost last year, and the big signing of Insigne, Bob Bradley coming in, big home game against our rivals, the New York Red Bulls, on the back of a solid performance in Dallas is exciting. And now you've got some of our own coming through, some of the kids that they've grown up in the GTA playing. I think the ingredients are right for just an exciting afternoon. I love the early kickoff as well. So I'm excited. And I think the Red Bulls are going to be it'll lead to an exciting game. I think both teams want to play vertical. I don't think we're as aggressive as what the Red Bulls are, but they'll be confident after that result against the San Jose Earthquakes.
They will. Agree with all of that. I feel like there's some momentum, a lot of momentum in and around Canadian soccer right now. So it's about, all the 3 Canadian MLS teams as well as the CPL teams to try to take full advantage of that and keep these good times rolling, right? That's what it's all about right now.
Two wheels. Like it would have been easy to maybe go, you know what, let's rebuild this year. Let's retool. Let's just maybe play the kids and clear out the squad. And be ready to go for next year, but that's not who MLSE is. That's not Toronto FC. And for Bill, Bob, and our front office, Jason Hernandez, to put together this squad this quickly, that's going to be competitive, is impressive. And it's just we're lucky here. We've been so spoiled the last 5-6 years. I know last year was tough, but it looks like we're moving in the right direction here. And Bill took some big swings this offseason, and fair play to him.
Some good players in this Red Bulls side: Long, Yearwood, Caceres, Klimala up top. Just signed Ashley Fletcher, a player that played a long time. Just joined this week for Watford, I believe. Former Middlesbrough player, played for West Ham, started at United. I don't think he ever played a game for United. So Sunderland as well. So a team that will be competitive, a good test, early season test for TFC on Saturday, 2 p.m. Get there early. Bundle up, have a good time. This is what it's all about. We're going to add another segment this year. It's very simple. It's called Wheels Up, Wheels Down. Whether it's to do with TFC or across Major League Soccer, I'm going to give a wheels up and a wheels down. Let's start off with the positive, the wheels up. Carlos Vela, opening week hat trick for LAFC. The reason why it's a wheels up for me is MLS, in order for the league to continue to grow and thrive, they need their star players to be star players. Chicharito scored over the weekend. Vela is a genuine star in Major League Soccer. And whether it be injury or what have you, just last season especially was absolutely subpar. This way is a great start to the season for him. It's great for the league when your star players shine the way they did. So I think a hat trick sets a good tone for Major League Soccer entering the new season, Terry.
Yeah, it's with both LA clubs doing well. It's I think you want your big markets to perform. And I'd say last year, if you go around the big markets, other than maybe New York City FC, it wasn't great. Chicago struggled. The LA teams, I think Greg Vanney did a good job in his first year. Couldn't quite get over the line. LAFC weren't the same. Miami, there Chris Henderson's come down. I think last year the squad was difficult. It was always going to be tough. So I think, you want your big players and your big markets to be flying. And I think that's what we saw in week one.
My wheels down goes to FC Cincinnati. Oh my God, Terry, there's some great support in that city. And when you're an expansion team, you just kind of want to get off to a flyer, set a good tone. They lost their opener 5-0 at Austin, a team that just came into the league a year ago. 5-0 your opening week. You have Lucho Acosta apologizing to the fan base, promising better, really good player as well. It's just at some point, any club, I don't care how much you dislike them across Major League Soccer, if they're your rival, just seeing a team continue to spin their tires, pardon the pun, it just needs to stop somewhere. Like, things have to improve, don't they?
Yeah, it's a nightmare of wheels when you come through preseason. There's changes in the front office, coaching, and after 14 minutes, you're down 2-0. And you're away from home, and it's now pumping in Austin. The crowds is flying, and I've been there. I think one of our opening games for TFC was Seattle away, and I think what's important is if I put my player hat on, is you don't forget about all the work that you've done in preseason, and you just try to push that result to the side. But it is Cincinnati has the potential to be more than what it is right now. And I think they will get it right. I look at the starting 11, and I just think the blend's not quite there. There's not a ton of balance at the moment.
I feel like a lot of TFC supporters can relate. I mean, this was what the first few years in Toronto seemed like. You take a step forward, you take a couple steps back, you bring in some really good players, and for whatever reason, you just don't get it right. So I think that there is a lot of people up here that will sympathize with what FC Cincinnati is going through right now. So
there'll be a reaction next week for sure, I'd imagine.
So that was Wheels Up, Wheels Down. 2 new segments for this new season on Come On Your Reds. You happy? Are you going wheels up on the new segments, Terry?
Yeah, I'm wheels up. I'm wheels up for sure. Not that I'm biased, but
yeah. Anything else come to mind? Anything else you want to bring up before we say goodbye for this week?
No, I just I think you're always excited coming into that first game of the season. And you're not always 100% sure which way it's going to go. And it's been a little bit tricky to get a nice gauge of where the group's at, because they spent 2 weeks in California, come back for marketing day, and then they spent another 2.5 weeks in Texas. So you don't really have a pulse on the group. Was lucky enough to watch some of the training sessions and catch a couple of those games on preseason, a couple of the preseason games, which is great, but preseason's preseason. But I thought the guys went out there and performed. I still think it's early days, but so many positives to build upon. And it's great that the guys are coming back home. They're training at BMO Field all week, so still can't see a whole bunch. I was hoping they'd be at TG, the BMO TG selfishly, but I'm sure they'll get after it, and it should be a good one.
For the kids out there, BMO TG, training ground. Not everyone might know what you cool cats call it. Might have to add a third segment as well, the Insigne watch, because it seems like he's scoring each and every week, goal and assists on the weekend against Lazio. And Inter's going in the wrong direction. Milan, are they good enough? We'll see what happens there. I played Barcelona last week, scored on a penalty against Barcelona. So perhaps a third new segment might need to be added.
How cool is it that Insigne is coming to TFC?
And we'll see who he's going to bring along with him too. But as the rumor mill continues to churn, I'm not going to go all tabloid. If you want to hear, by the way, this is a good segue to remind you, if you haven't done so already, check out my interview with Bill Manning last week, TFC president. I asked him about some of the rumors that are put out there and whether he just laughs at them sometimes. And he had a really good response to that as well. So check that out. It's on the Toronto FC YouTube channel, or you can listen to that on podcast, Touchline Talks, and we'll have plenty more of those as the season rolls on as well. It's good to be back, Terry. Good to see you. Happy belated. You're making 40 look good. What do they say? 40's a new 20?
Yeah,
except
right.
your knees and back, right?
Unless you see me walk.
Yeah.
I'll see you down at BMO Field, man.
We'll see you there this weekend. We hope to see all of you at BMO Field on the weekend, 2 p.m., the New York Red Bulls, as TFC kick off their 2022 home campaign. Thanks to our producer, Erica. Top job as always. She's on her way to Glasgow soon. I'm entirely jealous. Thanks to my good buddy, Terry Donfield, and thanks to you for tuning in. I am Gareth Wheeler. Wheels down for this week on Come On You Reds.